I'm just really honored that she came to speak for us tonight, and I'd like to introduce our speaker tonight, Ms. Linda.
Hey, I'm Linda, and I am an alcoholic. And interesting that Dick brought up that hug, because I remember the very first AA meeting I went to. I was about 20 years old. I was sitting around this table, I was sitting on my hands, because my hands were shaking, and I was just crying, just tears going down my face. And at that particular meeting that went around the table, when it came to me, I said, I'm Linda, and I don't know what's wrong with me, and I was crying. And that was the best I knew. I didn't know what was wrong. And after that meeting, I don't remember really anything. I don't remember much that was said. I remember what I just described to you, and I remember this. I remember this woman, I didn't know her name, but after the meeting, she gave me a hug. I don't know what she said, but she gave me a hug. And I remember that all these years. Now, when I finally sobered up, a few years after that, that woman was still around. Her name was Liz. And I thanked her for that. Because, the way I was living my life back then, hugs came at a pretty high cost. I wasn't like, I was one of those people when I first came into AA, I was like this. I was walking away all the time. So I've come a long way at learning how to really hug people and connect with people, because I don't come by it naturally. Naturally, I'm pretty cold, aloof, distant, and shut off. I wasn't even aware of that till many years old, really. And actually, that fellow that was actually a high school classmate of mine who also got clean and sober. I ran into him somewhere, and we were talking about it. And I was like, "What was my problem in high school? What, And he was like, Linda, you just had a wall around you, nobody knew you. That's not how I remember it at all. I remember, I started drinking alcoholically from the very first time I drank around age 13. I was always very interested in alcohol. Alcohol was very common in our family. People drank, they weren't alcoholics. They drank, they got happy, they went to work, they paid the bills, they raised their kids, they went to church. But I always just I liked the whole thing that went on around from the very get-go. I remember watching Dad make old fashions for people. Put all this stuff in, bundled up, and smell good. Sometimes he let me stir it. And I was just in love with the whole idea. And when I was about 12 or 13, they let me have my first glass of cold walk with Thanksgiving dinner or whatever it was. So alcohol is just, I flog everything out, except for what it does to me when I drink. The very first time I drank, I blacked out, passed out, puked all over everything, locked myself in the bathroom. My mom somehow got in the bathroom, picked me up under my armpits in front of the mirror, and told me what a rotten, horrible little girl I was, and how nobody would ever love me. It's fucked me up for a long time. It kind of does. She's dead now. Fine with me. I mean, really, I'm okay with that. I mean, I love her. I like her sometimes, but life is easy without her voice in my head. And when she died, that voice went away. Really? I mentioned it to my sister. Me and my sisters went on a trip this spring. I mentioned it to one of my sisters. Both my sisters were standing there, and I said that. I said, my life's a lot easier since my life. Both my sisters kind of looked at me. And my second older sister said, me too, but I would never say that. And my oldest sister was like, what's wrong with you? I miss her every day. Needless to say, I don't come from a sunshine and lollipops family, although it would have certainly looked like that from the outside. Very well to do, people knew our family, people knew the business that we owned, People knew us kids, we were Dorothy and Jean's kids, everybody knew everything everybody did. So, small town, big fish in a small town. And so I always, from as early as I can remember, felt this pressure to be something special. And my mom always used to tell me, you can be anything you want to be, you can do anything you want to do. Which we think of that as being pretty encouraging, right? That's better than your piece of chicken or like mom did anything, right? But for me, in the long haul, that wasn't really the nicest. Because that's not truth. I couldn't do anything I wanted to do. I'm 5'3". I couldn't be a fabulous basketball player. And I couldn't try. But I was not a good basketball player. I was too short. And so I beat myself up. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. There's a lot of things I can't do that I'm just not good at. And I was not prepared for failure at all. I didn't have any coping skills for failure. I didn't have any coping skills for people not liking me. I didn't have any coping skills for loneliness. I just thought I was always supposed to be happy, and everything was always supposed to be great, and I was always going to succeed, and everything was going to be lovely. And the only time it really got lovely for me when I was drinking whiskey. When I was drinking whiskey, I got lovely. I really did. I thought. So I was a problem drinker from the get-go. Started with some dry goods in my teen years, blacked out all through my teen years. By the time I graduated high school, I'd already totaled one car in a drunken accident. That somehow I got off the DWI because when the cops pulled up, they're like, "Oh, you're Gene's daughter. Let me go, Gene. Oh, Gene, you're here." Okay, thank you. Wasn't so lucky there, but so yeah, by the time I was 18, I already had one DWI. I'd already had an insurance investigation because I wrecked a different car and lied to the police and the insurance investigators, so I was kind of red flag there. But I was, you gotta remember back then the drinking age was 18, turned 18 when I was just started my senior year in high school. So I was like, I'm currently done with all sports and currently done with all extracurricular stuff, and I'm now drinking. And I knew that's what I was gonna do. And I was in the bar every opportunity I had. And I drank to black out every time I got a chance, which was a lot. A couple nights. And still managed to, graduate high school with good grades. But I knew right then, I was like, I gotta do something different. I always knew I was gonna go to college. They just told me I was going to college. Okay. I was like, this drinking's a problem. So in my head, I said, when I go to college, I'm gonna be just a wallflower. I'm gonna be a good student. I'm just gonna lay low. So great intentions, right? We always have great intentions. I had a great intention, but no life skills and no ability to carry that out. So of course I showed up to college with a bomb, a bag of pot, $2,000 in my pocket. Within a week or two, I knew where every happy hour was, who sold what, and how much it cost, and I was off to the races. And it got bad real fast my freshman year in college. Just drunk, blacked out, waking up in frat houses, with people I didn't know. It just got out of control really fast. I got introduced to cocaine at that point. We're talking 1984. Cocaine was everywhere. I liked that too because I thought I could drink more. I thought when I was doing cocaine I could drink more, and I wasn't drunk. That's wrong. Later, that's not. But that's what I thought. And, so needless to say, by the end of my freshman year, I was like, not come back to this college. I do embarrassed to be seen on this campus anymore. So I got a summer job working in a tourist city in Wisconsin as a bartender. So that escalated things even more. I got my first DWI that summer, and by the end of the summer, I decided I just wasn't going back to college. So I actually moved back in with my parents for a little while, and got a job bartending about 20 miles away. And I can't tell you how many times I drove off the road to come home at bar time after working. And I was like, the alcoholic brain is really something. I thought, I need to live closer to work. It doesn't occur to me, I need to not drink at work. I need to not drink and drive. Or I need to get a different job. I need to live closer to the tavern so I can make this happen. So, wasn't going to school, moved out of mom and dad's house. Cocaine problem was still going on and getting a little pricier. And mom and dad weren't for the bill anymore. So I was running out of money. The tip money I was making at the bar and my wages and stuff just wasn't quite enough to cover all my expenses. So I decided I need to go back to school so mom and dad would start paying rent for me again and all that. So I re-enrolled in school the next spring at a different college. And I was just getting the level of people I was hanging out with was just getting worse and worse and worse. I'm 20 years old, right? And I'm just a bar drunk. You guys ever seen that movie Barfly? Mickey Rourke? Was it Faye Dunaway? And I watched that movie, I was about a year or so, I tried to watch it. I sat down to watch it, and I was just like, oh my God, that's me. Just always drunk, looking for love at all the wrong places with all the wrong people. And then she's like 50, I was doing this at 20. I was just pitiful, man. So after I got that first DWI, I had the court ordered me to go see a therapist. The guy's name was Vic. So I went and saw Vic. I had to see him out some sort of quite a time. And I graduated up out of him. And anyway, so when things were getting really bad in this new city, I was like, I need some help. So I called Vic. I told Vic, and I was like, Vic, it's Linda. Do you remember me? He's like, I remember you. I need some help up here. Do you know any counselors up here? And he said, you know what, matter of fact, let me call you right now. So he hooked me up with this woman named Mary T. So Mary T became my therapist. And so I did outpatient therapy, just lied. 2 years. I had 2 years last year. 2 years, 2 drinks. Meanwhile, I was drinking as much whiskey as I could drink. I was blacking out every night. My car was running into other cars. My car was running into fire hydrants, curves, buildings. And I would just bounce off and just keep driving, right? And I was starting to get a little paranoid thanks to all the white stuff I was putting in my nose. So I couldn't drive in the car because I had a kid in the back behind the house covered in branches because I was pretty sure by paranoid thinking that the police were out matching my paint spots with bumpers and buildings and fire hydrants. It was all Pontiac Fonts. So I was paranoid, I was drunk, I was still working as a bartender, I was still in college, and Mary T fired me. She was like, I can't help you anymore on an outpatient basis. I just can't. You need more help than I can give you. You need to go to inpatient treatment. And I was like, see. So I quit therapy, or got fired from therapy. And went back to my ways for some amount of time. And that was in that time when I went to that first AA meeting, right? And after I left that AA meeting, I remember I was in La Crosse, Wisconsin, so I went up this curvy road up to the top of the bluff. It's about a 600-foot bluff that looks down over the Mississippi. And I was up there, and I heard what you guys said in that meeting. You didn't drink, and you didn't drink at all, ever, for the rest of your lives. So I got that. I was like, okay, there's my options. Just like this freaking book says, but I didn't know yet. You either quit drinking, and I was like, kind of panicked about that. And I don't think I would do that. You either keep drinking, and I was like, I don't think I can continue to keep drinking like this. Or you kill you. So I was up there, 600 feet up, and I killed myself. And I sat up there. It seemed like I was just crying, weighed out my options, and knowing loneliness is few men ever would. And clearly I didn't jump. I also didn't quit drinking. I continued. That was my option. I continued to drink to the bitter end. So I continued to drink, and it was probably around, say, February of 1986. I called Mary. I said, Mary, I'm ready to go to treatment. And she's like, oh, when can you be? And I said, May. I'll be there. She knew, right? Finished the semester. I couldn't let my parents know that I had drinking and drug problems. So I had to look like everything was okay. I was being that chameleon and having all these different personas going on. And she was like, Linda, you won't make it to me. And I was like, yeah, I will. I'll be fine. I'll make it to me. Right after the semester's over, I'll go. Well, I made it to April 19th. And April 19th was, really not any different than any other night, except for my freshman year of college roommates coming into town. And so I was already shit-faced in anticipation of her being there. And that turned out to be just a debacle. I ran out of cocaine, I was drunk, I was on a mission to find more cocaine, I wasn't paying her any attention, she was mad at me. Needless to say, I woke up the next morning in bed with a stack of pink tickets next to me. A little foggy on what had actually been before. And just was sick, physically sick. And that wasn't new. I had the dry heaves like every day for the last 6 months, 8 months. Just puking up that awful yellow stomach bile and popping blood vessels in my eyes and spitting out blood. Never gonna drink again. Never gonna drink again. And I do a lot of drink. And so I was in that same state of mind. I tell this story every time I tell my story because I absolutely have to remember this. That I was sleeping on a mattress on the floor. So I rolled off the mattress. There were plastic beer cups all over the floor. There were cocaine wrappers all over the floor. I know this is like, hey, guess right? Cocaine wrappers all over the floor. And I couldn't stand up, so I was on my hands and knees and I crawled down the hallway, went to the bathroom, whatever, shit like that. Crawled back to my room, and when I was crawling back to the mattress, I had to crawl by this mirror that was leaning against the wall. And so as I'm on my hands and knees and I'm crawling, I see myself in that mirror. What I saw, my eyes were just covered with black mascara, snot was hanging out of my nose, and I couldn't stuff it back in my head because my head hurt so bad, right? And meanwhile, I'm grabbing a cup, I'm like, dry even a bit. And so I saw myself in that mirror. And what I said was, I can't do this anymore. Which I think is as good as I could get to God. But I said, I can't do this anymore. And what that meant was, I can't pretend I'm okay. I can't push through this 5 hours from now, pull on my jeans and my cowboy boots and go back to the bar and order up 7. Just can't pretend I'm okay because this is what I am. And so I thought, the only way out of this is to kill myself. So I crawled in the bed, started thinking of ways to kill myself. Tried to call Mary to my roommates came in. She was an Al-Anon. She was a adult childhood alcoholic. Her dad was an alcoholic. And she tried to help me many times, and she got mad at me many times when I'd con her into giving me a ride somewhere. She'd be like, "Well, I don't want to stay there all night." And I was like, "We won't. We'll be back by 10. 2 in the morning, I'm telling her to get a goddamn cab, and I'll find my own way home." Whatever. It's obnoxious. And so she opened the door, and she was, "You okay?" Not. I said, "Call Mary." I said, "I can't get hold of her." She said, "I'll see if I can hold her." And she came back in the room sometime later and started packing up clothes and said, "I got hold of Mary. Everything's paid for. You're going to the hospital." But brightest April day ever, fresh snow, white glare in my face that we tried. The first thing I did when I walked into the emergency room was ran across the emergency room into a bathroom and just tried and just retched as long as I could. The door wide open, everybody hearing me. And later come to find out, I got a DWI the night before, I got arrested, somebody bonded me out. I didn't know who for about a year. But I finally ran into her on campus when I finally did go back to school. And she said, "Linda, where have you been? What happened? I haven't seen you since that last night, since that one night." And I was like, "That was the last night." I said, "What happened?" So she filled in some of the blanks, and I said, "You got me out of jail?" She's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "What happened to all that cocaine that was in the car?" Because I didn't have any possession charges. They didn't charge me with any of that. And she was like, "There wasn't any." So anyway, that was the beginning of my recovery. And it just gets crazier from there. Life without alcohol, for an alcoholic, if you're not working the steps, just gets crazy. Life gets crazy, my mind gets crazy, I get just as suicidal sober as I did when I was drunk. Just as much self-pity sober as I did when I was drunk. Just as much confusion sober as I did when I was drunk if I'm not working the steps. And I didn't work the steps for a long time. I worked the steps half-assed. As much as you can work the steps the first couple years or so when you don't have a sponsor who supports you to work the steps. So you know what that means. You read them off the wall. Check, 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 check. Doesn't apply. Check, check, check. Got it. Want to have sex? Let's go. I'm good. So I can say to you, that was me working the steps the first time. And I was just easily hijacked by worldly things. Got caught up in career that I kind of fell into, which was just feeding my ego. Got caught up in fake popularity. Went to a lot of meetings, but then, given the career that I got into, I had to move a lot. So after about 2 years sober, I moved to Michigan, Southwest Michigan, just north of Chicago, for my first full-time radio job. And I went to meetings, and I met some people, and I got pretty active in young people's AA, because I was still in my early 20s, and I went to young people's conventions, and I met people, but it was still about, he's cute, you guys are married, how come you're married, and I'm not married, and they have a house, and they're married, and they have a house, and they're pregnant, and they have a family, and I'm still a lonely girl. So I was doing a lot of comparison to other people, after a year and a half of that superficial bullshit, I got a different job, moved to Des Moines, I'm alone. I just packed up my shit, moved to Des Moines. New radio job. was there for a few years. Had a brain aneurysm blow out my brain while I was there. That was interesting. That was really probably one of the most powerful spiritual experiences I'd ever had. But I thought it was a spiritual experience, but I think I later found out it was just a morphine that they gave me after the surgery. But after that surgery, I was like, they're like, do you need us to contact an attorney? Because I've been to every hospital in town, every urgent care in town, nobody could diagnose what it was. We're talking early 90s, they didn't do MRIs, they didn't do scans, it was like, you're 26 years old, you were fine. But I had bleed in my brain. And so I was still on the air, I was back to dry even in the garbage can because of the pressure in my head. Feeling like I used to deserve this shit. And I'm like, what's going on, right? I didn't know what was happening. So they're like, you probably have a pretty good case if you want to contact an attorney. And I'm like, no, it's good, I'm healthy, I'll be doing this, I'm fine, no worries. Why would you ask to do that? All strung out on morphine. I could be sad. But no, it's fine, I'm not going to sue anybody. So I didn't sue anybody, and my parents would tell me I should sue somebody. So I didn't. But I did recover pretty much fully. Still have a hard time multitasking sometimes. Copy machines make me cry. But other than that, I'm probably not. But anyway, that was interesting, and I really thought I turned a corner there, because I had to slow down, had to have a lot of time off work to recover. But I did go back into radio, and I started feeling better. The ego came back, all the bullshit came back. When I left Des Moines, my roommate threw me a going away party. I just wasn't very good at making friends. I could be a radio personality, I could be a fake friend, I could be a local radio star, but I didn't know how to be a friend, I didn't know how to have a friend. I didn't have a friend. I remember that really hurt. But loaded up the car, moved to Cincinnati, next job. And halfway across the country, somewhere in Little Indiana, it occurred to me, holy shit, I'm gonna be in trouble. I'm sober 7 or 8 years at this time. Like, I'm on my way to Cincinnati to try and convince this married guy I'm dating to divorce his wife and get another radio. I think I'm in trouble. And some divine inspiration said, get to Cincinnati, get a sponsor. So I got to Cincinnati, and I finally got a sponsor. And still didn't do a very good 4-step. I still didn't think I had anything morally wrong with it. Because I wouldn't read the flipping book. I wouldn't read the instructions in the book. And so I thought it was take a moral inventory of yourself. And I'm like, morally, I'm fine. I don't fuck strangers unless I'm drunk, right? So as I'm sober, morally, I'm great. I don't have to write any of this shit down. The only reason I did any of that was because I was shit-faced, and that doesn't count. And then I was sponsored to say, yes, it does. So in my whole mind, So, and even she's like, wrote down the life story, and I'm like, they did this to me, she did this to me, he didn't love me, they fired me, it was just a bitch session, right? Like, yeah, let's do it. And she's like, okay, now go home and, show me what to do in the 6th step. And instead, I went home and went on a vacation. Took a break. Got done with that 4th step, go take a break, right? So, I don't know, I'm a tough case. I'm a very tough case. I'm just pig-headed, too pig-headed to relapse, too pig-headed to get help. Just an egomaniac with an inferiority complex, like they say. That's who I was. Got offered another job in Charlottesville. this guy's not going to be his wife. This is not, I'm masterminding this whole play, this is not. So, took the job, Charlie. And that's how I got to North Carolina. Continues. But if you get anything out of this, I'm going to get out of this, the importance of working the steps from the get-go. I know people that have come into this program, DJ, for example, Andrew, you know these guys. Jake, they come in, they do fucking step work, and in 3 years they're buying new cars and buying houses and having babies, and I was like, why do you like that? Why do you like to do it like that? Well, because you can't tell them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. And plus I thought, I wasn't drinking, right? And I thought this program was about not drinking. Not drinking. So I don't have to do all of this shit because I've already arrived. I'm not drinking. I have been drinking for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 13 years. All these years keep piling up, and I'm just drier and drier, and more depressed and more depressed. Thinking about driving into a bridge and bump, driving into 18-wheelers, thinking of all this crazy shit, not answering my phone, locking the doors, having all the shades shut, sleeping until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, getting up for 20 minutes, going back to bed at 6 o'clock. It took me 10 years sober to get on an antidepressant. I was like, holy shit, this makes a big difference. I had no idea. I thought that was sobriety. I didn't know I was clinically depressed. I was probably clinically depressed before I even started drinking, or maybe after the breaking news. I don't know. But I think I was clinically depressed before the aneurysm, because I remember behaving like that even before the aneurysm. Not wanting to. That's why, I didn't have any friends. That's why people throw me a bug when it comes, because Linda's at home not answering the phone, with being a superstar on the radio, hiding behind. Stupid. So, let's fast forward to about age 33. So at 33, I've got 12, 13 years sober. I got on the radio, I was in financial services. Still pretty angry. I was angry that I didn't have all the stuff that I see the people working the steps getting. Although I was living on the lake, I had a boat, I was on the outside, everything looked sunshine and lollipops, but, when I closed the door, I was under the blanket, and I was crying myself to sleep. And so I met a fella in an AA meeting. Sex was great. So I coerced him into marrying me. Never should have done. Train that. He relapsed 2 weeks after we got back from the honeymoon and was a full-blown alcoholic and crack cocaine addict. The 8 years I was married to him. He spent most of his time going in and out of rehabs, in and out of halfway houses. I'm sober. I'm dry. I'm going to meetings. And also by that point, gotten out of financial services, because changing careers apparently is what I like to do. Gotten out of financial services and decided I was going to open a halfway house for women, because women didn't have enough recovery resources. So me and my ego, opened up a state license halfway house in Lincolnton while I was married to the crackhead alcoholic. Now it was only a matter of time before that. Right? So, to give me the Al-Anon years. I went to Al-Anon meetings. The hardest thing I've ever tried to do. Have any of you guys ever tried Al-Anon? Holy crap. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they do it. And again, kind of like in AA, I heard them, but I wasn't really maybe connecting with what they were saying. They'd say things like, you can't control the uncontrollable. Quit trying to control the uncontrollable. Because I was always trying to control his drinking, control his crack addiction, control the bank account, control different ways that he could steal the keys from the car, trade for a while, control the debit card so it couldn't overdraft us so I could bounce the mortgage check. All that shit was always going on. So you have to control everything all the time. Because not that I wanted to control him, but if I didn't control him, my life would not be closed. So it's really hard. I'm the second bitch. And, for example, one night, and this was when I was still in financial services, and I had a sales call one night, and so I had to go out at night. And normally when I would go out at night on a sales call, I'd come home, he'd be gone, all the electronics in the house would be gone, and everything else would be on a trade, right? So this one night, I was like, okay, I'm not coming home and not having TV to watch tonight. I want to watch TV right now. So I loaded up the TV, put it in the backseat of my car, went on my sales call, came back home. I'm loving the TV in the house. Big heavy TV. This was before the rest of the flat screens. I was too cheap to buy flat screen. Here it is. I kicked the door in, got this big TV. I got so proud of myself. Taking care of myself. Good Al-Anon. I've got a TV to watch. I walk in the door. Right there where the store used to be. It's a big empty space. This is what they mean by trying to control the uncontrollable. Trying to control the TV, I use the stove. It's like trying to hold Satan quiet. And he wouldn't leave. Not saying that I was like, leave. How do you leave? It's like, it's a sweet deal, right? Got no baby, he's working, buying cars, replacing TVs and stoves. He's not fucking going anywhere, right? Eventually, I started sleeping with one woman in my house. And that was humiliating, embarrassing. One of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. It's homicidal. Seriously. Homicidal. If I would have had a gun, it breaks with that one. I so understand how they rage, the betrayal. It was crazy. And none of the people, of course the woman was furious. Why in the hell is your husband sleeping with a resident? And I'm like, I don't know. That was hard enough to do. And everybody I knew in AA just like, vapor. What the hell? So when I go to my own group, he'd be there with the new girlfriend. Right? I was like, I'm losing my mind. I'm going crazy. But at this point, I've got 22 years of sobriety, and this is my state of mind, right? I'm sorry. And I was like, well, you gotta do something different, right? So I started going to a different group. Found a different group. It's a Wednesday night group, a charitable group, lovingly referred to as a Nazi group by people that have been around for a while. A bunch of old timers, all they did was read this book. Grumpy old man, didn't give a shit about what your husband did, didn't give a shit about your job, didn't give a shit, got run over by a bus yesterday. Dude was in his door. And I did what was in that book. And I reconnected with God. I did a decent 4-step. Well, I shouldn't say that. I did another 4-step. I eventually made amends to my husband. Which shocked him, I think, more than it shocked me. Because, by hearing the story, he was clearly the bad guy, right? But we all know, at some point, we make decisions based on self that put us in a position to be hurt, people to retaliate. And I kind of coerced him in marrying me to retaliate being fucked. I signed up for that shit. I was 33, had never been married, wanted to be married, life according to Linda, I'm going to do shit. That's what happens when I run the show. I cannot run the show. All I pray for at night is the knowledge of God to will for me, the power to carry that out. Do not pray for jobs, do not pray for men, do not pray for money, do not pray for weather. Pray for the knowledge of God to go for me, the power to carry the power. As any other prayer I put out there, they get answered, but it's not in the way I think. And I finally got it. Sometimes I go, God help me lose weight. God help me lose weight. I'm like, what are you doing? It's only a matter of time before you have cancer. And you're in chemotherapy and you weigh 84 pounds. So stop saying that prayer. So change the prayer to give me a body that I'm comfortable. I'm just hard-headed. I'm just freaking stupid when it comes to taking direction from other human beings. So I got out of that marriage after 20 months. And life has been pretty good. Life has been way better since then, because I learned so many hard lessons. And I finally heard what God was saying. That His will for me is to be of maximum service to Him and my fellows. Not to be of maximum service to Linda and my little designs and hopes and dreams. Maximum service to God and my fellows. So when somebody looks grumpy, I try and smile. Whether it's shitty or good enough. I don't know what's happening, I say, God, what am I doing? Just had to change, like it says on page 24. The great fact is just this and nothing less, that we have had deep and effective spiritual experiences, which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, toward God's humans. The central fact of our life today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives in a way which is indeed miraculous. He has commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. And I tried to do it all by myself. From the time I was a little kid, all by myself. Not a team player, Linda, me, I, don't need your help, no thank you. And now it's like one of my favorite phrases is, I don't know. What should I do? I don't know how to fix this, I don't know. It's so hot. So you used to have to know everything. Or at least have you think I know everything. I never understood that saying. You want to be right or you want to be happy. I said, I want to be right. Now I look at this, I'm like, I just want to be happy. Thank you, go wherever you want, I just want to be happy. So get a sponsor, work the steps, be honest, get humble, help others, be of maximum service to God, day every day, get rid of stuff. Just like the day of Moses. What did we have to do earlier? I read the book a lot, but I didn't take it to heart. Because I wasn't drinking, so I didn't need it. Right? Just because you're not drinking doesn't mean you got this quote at all. Because I didn't drink. So thanks for listening to all my shenanigans. Bless you all. I hope you all stay safe and not drink the garage.
Oh, man.